What do you think of when I say the term weird game? Some people think of games like Choniki, Zombie Nation, or Mr. Mosquito. While those are definitely strange games, I tend to love them. These are the kind of games that give the reaction of, where the hell do you find this? And I love that. There are a few that come from North America, but a lot come from places like Germany and Brazil, yet the country that's most associated with weird games is Japan. Thus, it leads to the game in question known as Criminal Girls Invite Only. I've picked up a PlayStation Vita a few months ago, and one of the few games I've got for it was this. While this game does have a lot of cliches from Japanese anime and Final Fantasy style RPGs, the game uses some concepts and minigames that I just have to think, dear God, I could see someone finding a fetish playing this. The development is so strange and so limited that there isn't even a Wikipedia page. Upon research, I found out it was developed by Image Epoch, published by NIS America, also known as Nippon Ichi Software, released in Japan in 2010 for the PSP, and to the Vita in February of 2015. This is kind of odd considering that it was released as recent as last February, and it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, while we have entire pages for really obscure 6th round picks from the 1990 NFL Draft. But I digress. NIS America is a fairly well-known publisher to a lot of JRPG fans. The team has published games for years including Phantom Brave, Makai Kingdom, Sakura Wars, the Disgaea series, and one of the most underrated games in their library known as Zonomad and the World Eaters. These guys have a tendency to try and give more life to a system by just releasing tons of old school grid-based or traditional RPGs. Their games can tend to blend into each other, but for the most part, they've released quality games marketed for their audience. Image Epoch, on the other hand, was more of a modern JRPG company. They worked on games such as the Luminous Arc series for the DS, Sands of Destruction, Arc Rise Fantasia for the Wii, Fate Extra for the PSP, and the PlayStation 3 game Time and Eternity. Sadly, this year they went bankrupt due to lack of sales and debt. While I haven't played most of their games, but if Time and Eternity along with this was any indication of what they could do, I really don't want to try their other games. The plot is somewhat unique to me. The game is set in hell where you're a program instructor in charge of souls who are doomed to go to hell. Here's the catch. They can redeem themselves if they get through a trial and survive. You start off with 4 girls, but can unlock up to a total of 7. Each girl represents one of the 7 deadly sins with their own personality. And that's really all I really got from the plotline. The graphics have a been there, done that kind of look. NIS America games tend to look so much alike that one of their PS2 games like Makai Kingdom looks almost identical to a game like what their PlayStation 3 or Vita games like Disgaea 3. Sure, there are some differences in art design. My problem is that I doubt you can point out without knowing anything about the games, the game that was released on PS2 and the game released on PlayStation 3. With that out of the way, here's what 90% of typical NIS America games look like. They use 2D animation for almost the entire game. They rarely have any pre-rendered cutscenes and have a strong anime influence. Criminal Girls Invite Only has all these elements, and while its art is well done, it tends to get old after a while and does nothing to make it any different from a game like Makai Kingdom. The audio is good enough. The music does its job fairly well. It's energetic when it needs to be. The boss battle theme is intense, and it can't be atmospheric. The problem is that the music is nothing special. It's nothing I'm going to remember 1 month or even a few weeks down the line. The voice acting is what it is. I don't want to say it's half-assed because they didn't do an English dub, but the fact that it took around 5 years to release in North America makes the game look like either a rush job or a cash grab. I can't say whether or not the voice acting is bad because I don't understand the language of Japanese. My problem is that when you listen to the game and it sounds like porn, we got issues. The gameplay is nothing more than a really memorable average JRPG. The gameplay plays like any JRPG ever. You go from point A to point B, fighting enemies, leveling up, and earning abilities. You get a party of 4 with 3 other characters you can switch out at any time. You can unlock new attacks and abilities by gaining levels and discipline with each girl. How can you get these levels? You do this by getting certain items that unlock mini-games. These mini-games allow you to do things like give spankings with a dominatrix's whip, use an electrical rod, or pouring water on these things called temptations to defeat them. These methods unlock different things such as stat bonuses, special attacks, and allow them to attack with more than 1 character per turn. Each different method can only be done at a save point, which oddly enough looks like a bedroom, and at the same time, the girls are wearing very revealing outfits. I'm not making this up. I haven't unlocked them all, but if this is a sign of things to come, then I can assume that some guy is going to discover a fetish playing this possibly. Here's what it does right. It's definitely memorable. The concept alone is worth checking out just once because it's a what the hell kind of game. Not to mention, if you're into those games where it's so bad it's good, then this is right up your alley. The game also has some variety. The game tries to break the repetitiveness of most JRPGs with minigames. To its credit, it does break it to some extent. I appreciate the attempt. Where it goes wrong is in a few ways. First, this plays like an absolutely bland JRPG. The game goes through the same motions over and over again for the entire game. At no point does it try to be any more any less than a JRPG with a dominatrix gimmick. This makes the time spent grinding feel longer and it gets old quicker. The next is that the game's story plays out like a really awful softcore porn game without the nudity. Every character barely has any depth besides the anime cliche or fetish they look like. You got the crazy tomboy girl, the girl with the tits so big that they must be killing her back, the two best friends who look like they're underage but aren't, and so on. So if you can't turn your brain off and just laugh at how stupid it is while it plays it all straight, then don't play this game. The minigames are pretty well worthless. Sure, they serve a purpose in unlocking attacks for your characters. The problem is that they are so simplistic they last about as long as a session with a dominatrix and only serve as a way to tease boobs. The last problem is that you are at the mercy of Lady Luck during fights. Since you can't give characters specific orders, you'll be left taking more damage than you want from a boss, or you use MP on a random encounter that you could kill with a simple attack. Sure, you can somewhat mitigate this by using items. The problem is that this could come at the wrong time and get you killed. At least you get some warning before you give the attack order. Overall, Criminal Girls Invite Only is so bad it's good. This is a bland and boring JRPG from a fundamental gameplay standpoint, and yet I had some fun with it. If you get why people love movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space or Battlefield Earth, then you will get why we like it and may find some enjoyment. Otherwise, don't bother. This is an awful game that does nothing for the genre, and you're better off playing other games on the system like Dragon's Crown or Final Fantasy X 10-2 Remastered. On its own merits, I would give it a 3.5 out of 10, but as it's so bad it's good kind of way, I give it a 7 out of 10. Just the way it tries to stay serious and yet fails so hard at doing so makes it worth the price of admission.